get started. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Linux machine in the AWS cloud that you registered. I'm going to log into my AWS account, and you will do the same thing. And you don't necessarily need to do it along with me, which might not be possible. So you can probably listen to the class. But these things you can actually do along, Linux basics and stuff like that. But when we cover something which contain lot of concept, you make your personal judgment if you want to do it along with me or you want to do it after me. It's better, make sure that you listen to all the concepts, and only right, whether you are very good at multitasking. If you are good at it, you can do along with me, no problem. And make a personal judgment what would be best for you. Alright, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to create a Linux machine. That's the first thing. There's some change in the AWS. Never have seen any ads before. Okay, so I'm going to create a Linux machine today, and then we will, from my laptop, I will log into that Linux machine and we will learn some Linux basics. So go to the EC2 page and create a machine. To launch a machine, I hope you already know the stuff, so I'm just moving it a bit quickly. I click on launch instance button and I select the operating system as Ubuntu 20.4. That is the operating system which I want to use. I am choosing the AMI and as Ubuntu server 20.4. And then in the next page, I go with the, whenever possible, I always go with the free tier option, T2 micro. Most of the training we will be using T2 micro, so that that come under free tier eligibility. You get 750 hours of free tier when you register for a new AWS account. Every month 750 hours for the first 12 months. So click on review and launch button, and then click on launch again, and then I'm going with the second option, create a new key. I want to create a new key, so I'm going to name it with today's date. Let's say Jan 12. Then click on download key pair button, and then the key get downloaded to your laptop. The file name is jan12.pem. Jan12. Okay, sorry, let me name it something like Jan12 2022. Click on download button. Now a key file got downloaded to my laptop, and the name of the file is jan12 2022.pem. There would be a .pem extension. Click on launch instance again, and then the machine get created, and now I'm going to log into that machine from my laptop. So go to the EC2 page again, and then you will be able to see the machine, and the machine is in pending state. It takes a couple of seconds for the machine to become ready. And once the machine become ready, I will be able to connect to this machine from my laptop. I can log into this machine from my laptop. Once the machine turn into the running state, right now the machine is in pending state. So I wait. Okay, so in order to log into the machine, as you might already have seen, you definitely need the public IP, and in my case the machine is located in Virginia. Today let's not worry much about AWS, but for your information, the machine is physically placed in Virginia. In my case, you can also locate your location by clicking here. Whatever the location is, let's not worry about it right now too much. Just click on the machine and then get this public IP, and you need this public IP if you want to log into this machine from your laptop. And to log into the AWS machine from your laptop, I strongly suggest you to use a command line. So if you are using MacBook, you already have a command line. If you are using Linux desktops such as Ubuntu desktop, you already have a command line. If you are using Windows, you already have PowerShell. If you are using Windows 11, then just enable the Windows subsystem for Linux. then you will get all the Linux capabilities in Windows. Then from PowerShell you can use it as the shell, or you can install Git Bash. If you are using Windows, maybe you can go with Git Bash. That is a command line you can download and install in your Windows PC, and you can use it for a different purpose. That command line look very similar to Linux. So you need a command line in your laptop, because in order to log into the remote machine, it's better to have a command line. And not only for logging into the Linux machines, you want to do a lot of things inside a command line. Throughout this training, we would be doing different command line commands we will be running on your laptop. So for that, you need a command line in your laptop. If you're using Windows, Git Bash is a good option. You can download and install. So I'm using a Mac. I already have a command line application in my Mac. I opened the terminal application in my Mac. Then I go to a folder in my Mac, the downloads folder. That is where I can find this file, jan12 2022.pem, the file which I just downloaded at the time of creating the machine. And I am making sure that the machine, the file which I just downloaded, it has a very minimum permission within my laptop. So this command, it's a one-time command that you must run to secure this file in your laptop. And once, if you're using Windows, this command might fail. So in Windows, you don't really have to run this command. But if you're using Mac or Linux desktops, this command is mandatory. And then now I'm going to log into the remote machine. This is my laptop's command line. From my laptop's command line, I'm going to execute a command SSH. That is the default command available if you're using Git Bash, if you're using Ubuntu terminal, if you're using MacBook terminal. There is a command called SSH that allows you to log in from your laptop to the remote AWS machine. And this is the syntax that you have to follow: SSH space -i space, then the file name. This is the file name. And then the username on the remote Linux machine. By default, it is Ubuntu. And this is an information which is available in Google. You can search in Google what is the default username for AWS Ubuntu surveys. You will get that information from the Google. So by default, the machine that you created in AWS, the machine has a public IP, and you can find that public IP from the AWS portal over here. And then I get that public IP, and from my MacBook command line, I just paste that IP username at the right IP address. So I'm executing this command from my laptop. So I'm trying to remotely log in to the machine that is in AWS. The machine has this IP and machine has this username. So I'm going to log into this machine with the username as Ubuntu. Every time you log into any machine in the world, you have to provide a username. In your laptop also, you always provide a username. So in case of AWS machine, by default, this is the username. Run this command. And then you will get a warning when you run this command for the first time. Are you sure you want to continue connecting? Give yes, type in yes and press enter, and that's it. That's how you log in to an AWS machine. So I have successfully created an AWS machine, and I have successfully logged in to an AWS machine. And now this is a Linux machine, right? So just to give you an overview, just to make sure that we are on the same page, what I did is I created a machine. This is the machine that I have created inside the AWS account. I have an AWS account, and in there I created a machine, an EC2 instance. That's what I have created, and the machine is running a Linux operating system, Ubuntu 20.4, which is a Linux operating system. And by default, when I create this machine, there would be a user with the name Ubuntu inside this machine. And now the machine is created, and this machine is located in Virginia. In my case, Virginia. In your case, it could be somewhere else. And I am sitting in Bangalore, right, with my laptop. I'm using a Mac, and in my Mac I have some command line software, and you should also have some command line software. It doesn't matter what operating system do you use. It could be Mac, it could be Windows, or it could be Linux. It doesn't matter. You must have a command line software in your laptop. So from that command line software, first of all, I went into the folder CD downloads. That is where I downloaded the key file when I created this machine. From AWS I downloaded the key file, and then I ran this command to secure this file. That is important. So whatever your file name is, in my case it is jan12 2022.pem. In your case it could be something else. Whatever that name is, you put it here and run this command. It's a one-time command. And then in order to log in to the remote machine, that's what you have to do. And that is what we are all trying to do. You executed this SSH command. The command was SSH -i, and in my case the key name was jan12 2022.pem. Ubuntu was the username on the remote machine, and that is a information I can get it from Google by searching in Google what is the default username on the AWS Ubuntu service. That's a public information. At the rate, then the IP address of this AWS machine, the machine have a public IP, and I got that information from the portal. So I copied this public IP, and yes, the same public IP what I have, I pasted it here along with this command. And yeah, that's it. This command which I executed on my laptop connected me to the remote Linux machine, and as a result I got a good looking command line, right? This is the command line. So right now this command line is Linux. Currently I am working on a Linux machine, and whatever command I am going to execute, I'm actually running them on the remote AWS machine, the Linux machine which I am running in my AWS account. So just to clarify, okay. Awesome. So we have successfully created a machine in AWS, and we have logged into the machine, and next we are going to learn some basic Linux commands today. So very basic commands, just you should be, all of you should be comfortable with the Linux command line. That's very, very important. Actually, yeah, that's actually very, very important. So you don't really need to be an expert with Linux. That's not really important. I mean, you should be. What I'm saying is, when you're learning AWS, you should have a certain knowledge in Linux. You should be able to run the Linux machines. You are going to work on Linux a lot. You are going to run a lot of commands in Linux. So because of that, you need to understand Linux. You should be comfortable with the Linux command line. And we will be running lots of machines, Linux machines in the AWS, and you are going to run your software applications into those machines. So you should have some understanding about deploying your applications into Linux. So you should be comfortable working on Linux. But in this training, we try to cover the Linux basic commands, and then we talk about deploying whatever you need to learn AWS. So that is the way we will be, that is the road we will be taking. We will learn some basic commands first, and after that, after the first 45 minutes, we will be discussing about somebody is unmute. I think someone is unmute. Sagar, I think it's you. No problem. Yeah, so the Linux topic what we are going to learn is basic commands, where we will spend some 30-40 minutes today, and then after that we will be learning some running some applications, running some web applications inside an AWS machine, then browsing them from anywhere in the world using a browser. Then it should work. So those are the things that we will be doing. We will create some databases. We will see how software talk to databases or web applications speak to databases. Those things we will be learning as part of our learning. So the first thing we will start with the Linux basics. And the Linux basics is all about getting yourself used to the Linux command line. And it's very important that you are very comfortable with the Linux command line. And if you are not, if you don't work with Linux a lot, I'm not asking you to by heart a lot of Linux command. That is not what you really need to do. But you should be comfortable working on the command line. You should be fast enough to do job, right? Even if you don't know something, if you want to, let's say you want to download some files from internet to your Linux machine, you should do that. Even if you don't know what is the command to use, you should be able to do it within less than a minute, right? So Linux learning is not about by hearting lot of commands. It's actually running lot of commands. Make yourself comfortable, understand how to learn Linux commands based on the situation, right? At your work, I'm sure, I mean, especially everyone from OptIT, right? You know, most of the work what you get would be something new, right? Many of them are new. You always search in Google, find the solutions, and do stuff like that. So, but when you have a good comfortness with the Linux command line, right? It is going to be really great. So that's what we will do. So we have the Linux machine. So let's get started. So the first command, okay, I got disconnected. Let me log in. And the first command I'm going to execute on the Linux machine is who am I. Who am I is a Linux command. Sorry, who am I. Who am I is a Linux command. When you run it, it would tell you which user you are currently logged in as. Yes, I am logged in as Ubuntu, and it's not a surprise, right, from your laptop when you SSH into the remote Linux machine. Now I am on the remote Linux machine, that is where I am executing this command. Then I notice that yes, I am logged in as Ubuntu. From your laptop, you logged into this machine as user Ubuntu, and yes, it tells the truth. Linux commands always tells the truth. So now you can run this command. So if you are new to Linux, and if you are not very comfortable with the command line, I strongly recommend you for the first few days, you work as the root user. Right now I am logged in as Ubuntu user. You work as the root user. Root is a highly privileged user in Linux. If you are logged in as root, you can do many things. You will not get a lot of permission problems if you are working as root, because root is something similar to the administrator in Windows. So if you are root, you can do many things. You have many permissions, and the chances are very less that you will struck with some permission arrays. And in the initial stage of getting used to Linux, you really don't want to get stuck with lot of permission arrays. So that's why run this command always after you logged into the AWS machine. Run this command and make yourself the root user. Now I am root. Now I am logged in as the root, and I am working on the remote machine with super user permission, root user permission. Run the who am I command to confirm which user you are currently logged in. It's root. So now I am logged in as root, and I am working on this command line, working on the Linux machine with super permissions, right? That's what I'm doing. And this is not a good practice. Working on Linux as root is actually not a good practice, but until you become used to it, you work as root. That would save a lot of your time. All right. Now let's start with the Linux file system. We'll talk about how exactly the Linux file system look like, where the files are, where the folders are, and stuff like that. We will get started with some very basics. So let's do that. Okay. So we are going to talk about some to do that, first you have to enable the Windows subsystem for Linux, and that option is available only on Windows 11 and Windows 10. And in Windows 10, actually what you have is not the real Linux. So if you are using Windows, I strongly suggest everyone upgrade to Windows 11, enable Windows subsystem for Linux. The latest Windows come along with Linux kernel. which we will be using many time. But if you are using older versions of Windows than Windows 11, better to use git bash than PowerShell. Git bash, just down git bash is a software again. Git bash, so just search in Google git bash and go here and you can get it. I will send the link in the chat. Yeah, okay. So let's talk about the Linux file system. How exactly? I mean, we are not getting into the advanced topics today, but try to understand how the files and folders look like in Linux. So in Linux, the file and folder structure is like a tree. I mean, same as Windows, right? Same as Windows. Folder I will draw in this shape, and the file I will draw in this shape, just for your understanding. And yeah, if you look into the Linux file system, in Windows things are pretty easy, right? You have the mouse and you have a good looking graphical interface. You double click on My Computer, then it would show you the drives. You double click on C drive, it would open all the folders in the C drive and the files. Double click on any one of the folder, you can see the content of that folder. You just double click, and when you want to create a file, just right click, go to the folder, right click, and then select the option create new document and name it. Then you want to edit it, you double click it, it will open in Notepad. You can edit it, you can add some content, save it. So things are pretty easy in Windows. You can use your mouse, you have a graphical interface, stuff like that. But when it comes to Linux, the files path, understanding about the file path and the file structure become more important, because all you have is a command line, and everything you have to manage from the command line, whether you want to create file, create folders, delete file, delete folder, edit file, or anything that you want to do, create folders, copy file from one location to another, copy paste something, cut paste something. You want to do different thing, you want to relocate files. So you should have a clear understanding about where the files are, right? In Linux, the files are inside the slash folder. It all begin from the slash folder, the first folder in the Linux file system. And if you come down further, then inside the slash folder, then after that, otherwise it's all very similar to Linux, similar to Windows. So you will have a folder with the name Basil. I mean, I'm just giving some sample names. So you may have another folder with the name Pramod, or you may have a file with some name test.txt. So like that, there can be a bunch of files and folders that you would find inside slash. And then each of this folder, everything else is same as Windows. There may be a bunch of other folders that would come under the folder Basil. There may be a folder with the name F1, another folder with the name F2, and then there could be a file under Basil, maybe with the same name test.txt, of course, right? You can have same file names at different path. At different path, you can have same file names. Then inside F1, you might find other folders, maybe a folder called F100. So this is how the file structure will look like in Linux, and files and folders and stuff like that. So assume another file here, the name is new.txt or something. So like this is how the structure will look like, just like Windows, except the drive concept, the files and folder structure is very similar to Windows. And it is important that you understand where the files are, right? When you say slash, everyone understand what you're talking about. When I simply say slash, everyone know that you're talking about this folder. And when I say slash Basil, you need to understand that I'm talking about this folder. This is how I refer Basil folder. Basil is a folder which come under slash, then the complete path become slash basil. And if I have to refer this folder F2, I should be using slash basil slash F2, and then I am referring this particular folder. As you can see, F2 come under basil, basil come under slash, so you will write the path like slash basil slash F2, and this is what it is. And similarly, when I have to write the path for this file new.txt, can you send me a chat message, how you will write the path of new.txt. So it would start from the slash, then basil is the next one, then under that there is F1, then there is F100, and then there is new.txt. So this is how you will find out the path to the files and folders. So this path always indicate this particular file. So like that, every file and every folder in Linux, you can identify a complete path, and that would become a unique identifier for any files you have in your Linux machine. And this is important. And this is important that you always know where you are when you work with a command line. It's very important that you always know where you are and which file you want to create, which file you want to delete, which file you want to edit, which file you want to move from one location to another. So when you're using a command line, you should always be referring files, and you will refer them using their complete path, right? And this is important. And in the meantime, everyone send me a message, what is the complete path to this particular file test.txt over here. Okay, everyone send me a chat message. And another thing, okay, yeah, another thing that you need to note, you understand what is meant by this first slash I am mentioning in front of this path. What is indicated by this first slash? This folder, right? The first slash always exactly root, or the first folder in the Linux. Yes, what you meant, I got it. So yes, so the first slash always is this one, and whatever slash you find in between, of course it is a separator. It's like a delimiter or just a separator between folders. But first slash is important. Don't forget that. Chances are very less that if you are not to Linux, you always miss this out. So don't miss this out. All right, so that's the idea. This is how you can locate different files and folders in Linux. And now we will talk about some basic commands. Basic commands that will refer files and folders. Basically, think about how to create a file in Linux. You have to specify where exactly you want to create this file. You have to mention the complete path. You want to create a folder, you have to mention the exact path, right? That is important in Linux. So we will learn some basic commands that will help you understand how you work with the file system. So let's get started. So let's start with the ls command. So the first command that we will learn in Linux is ls command. Ls command would actually display the content of a given folder. Assume, think about the slash folder. Think about the slash folder, and I want to see the content of the slash folder. I can use the command ls space, then whichever folder I want to see the content. So assume I want to see the content of slash, I can type ls space slash. I want to see the content of basil, I can type ls space slash basil. I want to see the content of this folder F100, I can type ls space slash basil slash F1 slash F100. So this is how I can actually display the content of a given folder. This is how I will do it. So let's get started. We already have a Linux machine that we created in the AWS cloud. Let's run these commands. Let's start with the ls command inside the machine. So go to the machine. I got disconnected again. Yeah, I'm going to run the ls command first time. So yeah, this is my first command. Let me check what is inside the slash folder. ls space then whichever folder content you want to see. So in this case I want to see the content of the slash folder. You know what is meant by slash folder. I'm talking about the top folder. So yes, I can see there are a bunch of content I can find inside the slash folder. It include bin folder, boot folder, dev folder, etc folder. So like that, the different folders are available under the slash. This is nice, I can find a bunch of files and folders inside slash, and I found that home is one of them. One of the folder is called home. So now I want to see the content of the folder home. Can you send me a chat message? What command would you use? I want to see the content inside home, right? So what I just did is I wanted to see the whole content of the slash. I use the command ls space slash. Then I realized that there is a folder with the name home that come under slash, and now I am curious inside home, what are the other content which might come inside home. So I want to find out what command would you use. You can send them a chat message or something. Yes, so the command which I will use is slash home. Home is a folder which come under slash, so I would use this to refer the folder home. This is how I refer the folder home in Linux. So ls command would display the content of this folder, in this case the slash home folder. And yes, it has only one folder. Inside slash home there is something called Ubuntu. Great, this is another folder. This is the name of a folder. So inside slash home I have a folder called Ubuntu. Ubuntu come under home folder. So what will be the complete path to Ubuntu? It's going to be slash home slash Ubuntu. This is how you will refer the folder Ubuntu. Now I am curious what is inside the Ubuntu folder. So I use the ls command in this format, ls space slash home slash Ubuntu. So I am referring this folder which come under slash home. So just run this command, see what is inside. Actually nothing inside, right? It's empty. There is no content. There is a folder inside home, and inside Ubuntu there is nothing, so it's empty. That's what I found using the ls command. You got the picture, right? It's a empty folder called Ubuntu that come under home. So this is how you use ls command. So just by using the ls command you can actually browse through any files in the Linux, right? You can go to any files or go to any folder or anywhere you can browse using just the ls command, right? Maybe I will just quickly show you that. So I type ls space slash. First I type ls space slash. I found that etc is one of the folders. So I decided that okay, let's figure out what is there inside etc. I will type ls space slash etc. Then I realized that there are a bunch of files that come under etc. That is great. So there is a folder called dpkg. So I am curious what is inside the dpkg. Dpkg come under etc. So I will type the command ls space slash etc slash dpkg to see the content inside that folder. Then I realized that okay, there are different content. This is a file, this is a folder, this is a folder, and now I want to see what is the content inside this folder. I can type ls space slash etc space dpkg space then this folder. Now I can see the content of that particular folder, and there are different files and stuff like that. So this way I can navigate to any folder in Linux and see the content of that folder just by using one single command. The command is ls. So it is like double clicking on your Windows with your mouse, right? You double click on my computer, C drive, double click on any folder, you can see the content. Same thing, ls command will accomplish in Linux. And that is one command. And the next command what we are going to learn is a touch command. Touch command will actually create a new file. Touch command can also be used for uh, changing some metadata of the existing file, but today we will talk about touch command that we use to create a new file. So let's see that. So the syntax is, again, most of the command syntax will look something like this: the Linux command followed by the arguments. In case of ls, it was like this: ls space the folder name. So in case of touch, it is as you expected, touch space then whatever file that you want to create. So assume I want to create a file. I realize that I have a folder with the name home. So inside the folder with the name home, now I want to create a file and I want to name it test.txt. So this is the file I want to create. So how you will create it? The command will be touch space /home /test.txt. So you have to mention the complete path to the file. Touch command will create that file, touch space whatever file path that you want to create. So this file get created, the test.txt file get created as a result of this command. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to run the command touch space /home /test.txt. So that's it, it's done. The file got created. This is the file that got created, and that's it. You want to see the file, you can use the ls command to see it. ls space /home, you know that this file got created inside the /home. So ls space /home should now show you this file name in the output, and yes, it is there. Test.txt is there inside /home and it's working. So similarly, you can create, I have /home /ubuntu folder, and in there I want to create a file with the name file.txt. So I can use the touch command and the file got created. And now I want to see this file. I can use the ls command. I can check the content of the folder ubuntu using the ls command. And yes, last time when I run the same command, this folder was empty. Now there is a file, the file that you created using this touch command. Makes sense, right? Yeah. So that's what touch command will do. And touch command creates a file. Mkdir command creates a folder. If you want to create a folder, you know the difference between file and folder, right? So if you want to create a folder, you would be using mkdir. So assume inside the /home, I want to create a folder with the name f1. f1 is the name of the folder that I want to create. So I can use the command mkdir space /home /f1. So what this command will do is, it would create a folder with the name f1 inside the /home folder. So this is the folder that this command will create, mkdir space /home /f1. So that's what I'm doing. Go to the command line, use this mkdir command to create a folder with the name f1 inside /home. So inside /home, I am creating a folder with the name f1. So it's done, it's created. So now I type ls space /home. Previously the f1 folder was not there, but this time if I type ls space /home, I will be able to see the folder f1. So that's working as well. So, and using mkdir you can create more. Inside the f1 folder, now I want to create one more folder. So inside f1 I want to create one more folder called f2. Yes, you can do it. Inside that I want to create f3. Inside that I want to create f100. So you can do all that. So right, so this is a folder. In that you created home, in that there is f1, in that there is f2. So like that you can actually create whatever folders that you want to create using mkdir. You can type ls mkdir space /etc/basil. So a folder with the name basil get created, inside slash etc. So at this location a new folder get created using this mkdir command. So using touch and mkdir you can create any files or any folder at any location in your file system, right? Okay, great. So this is, these commands are for you to go through today. Those who are new to Linux, you should be comfortable. So keep running these commands, keep creating some files, keep creating some folders, get yourself comfortable with the Linux command line, and that is very, very important when you are, especially when you are new to Linux. This is very, very important. See how fast you can get. Experiment yourself, push yourself, and see how fast you can get, and it's important. So that's it, and now we'll talk about some other commands. So we'll talk about some editor, some command line editor like Notepad. In Windows you have Notepad, and in Linux you don't have a graphical editor. Of course there is no graphical editor, right? Of course, but there are command line editors. There is Nano, there is Pico, there is VI, and all the editors are good, convenient and comfortable, and eventually one of this editor would become your favorite. It is not important what editor you want to use. It could be any editor that you use. You can edit files in Linux. All the editor supports editing of the file. So that's what I'm going to do. I already created a file, test.txt, inside the folder home. Now I want to edit this file. I want to open this file. Right now it's an empty file. It does not have any content. It's completely empty. Now I will open this file in a nano editor, for example. Nano space. What command I will use? Nano space, then which file you want to open. So I want to open the file /home/ test.txt. So this is the file that I want to edit. Nano is an editor, a command line editor, nano space, then the file name. What happens is the file will open inside the nano editor. You can start adding some content inside that file. That's what we will see. So I'm going to run this command in the AWS machine, of course. And nano space /home/ test.txt. This is a file that I previously created using the touch command, and currently it's empty. It has no content. Now just run the command, open the file in nano. It's empty as expected. There is no content in it. So I'm going to type in something. This is a test file, adding some content to it using nano editor. I'm just adding some blah blah blah, right? Added some content. So I have added some content into this file, and the file is not automatically saved. Actually you have to save it. So in order to save it, you want to save it, you want to close it, you want to search for some strings inside this file. There are different commands available. Down here you can see a number of commands. Control X, Control G to get some documentation how to use nano. Control X, if you want to close the editor, go back to the Linux command line. Control O to write the changes. You want to save the file, you can use Control O. So you can type Control O on your keyboard. Just type Control O on your keyboard. It will ask you, is this the file that you want to write? Yes, of course, same file that I opened. Just press enter, and that's it. Now the file is saved. So it is not just like Notepad. Nano editor is very similar to Notepad in Windows. You have to save it. It is not automatically saved. And then now I can close this editor. Control X. What you do is Control X. When you press Control X, then what happens is it will close the editor, and now you are back to your command line. So stuff like that. Great. So this is the current situation. Now the next thing we will, I can open the same file using the same editor again. I can again run this command. This time the file has some content. I can add more content, or I can remove some existing content, do whatever I want to do, and then I can again press Control X. So without saving, I just press Control X. So then it will ask me, hey, do you want to save? There are some modifications you made. Do you want to save them? So if you didn't save and if you press Ctrl X, this is the message you will get. Do you want to save the changes that you made? So press Y for yes, press Y for yes, and then again it will ask you, is this the file name? Just press enter and that's it. File got saved again. If you press no, then file won't be, your changes will not be saved. Nano editor get closed. So yeah, these are some basic commands that I just wanted to explain to you. And then there is command, cp command, using which you can copy a file from one location to another. Make a copy of the file to a different location. Copy paste. In Windows, you do the copy paste. Right click a copy file, go to a different folder, right click and paste it. Same thing you can do on Linux using the command cp space /home/test.txt. So I have a file called /home/test.txt. Now I want this file to be copied to a different folder. For example, /home/f1/f2. So I want to copy this file to this particular folder. I can use the command cp and cp space which file you want to copy space to which folder you want to copy. Run this command. Then what happens is a copy of this file will be created in this location. Now you type ls space that location. You can actually see a file has come here, test.txt has come here, right? And the same file, what happened to the source file? What happened to this file? Nothing. That file is still there. That file is still there. So a copy of this file, a duplicate of this file get created at this location. So that's what this cp command will do. Nothing will happen to the original file. It will be there. A copy, a duplicate of this file get created at this location. So it is copy paste in. That's what Windows will do when you try to do a copy paste operation. And instead of cp command, if I use the mv command, that is not the case. So let me use the mv command this time. It is for cut paste. You are actually relocating a file. The original file will get affected by this. Original file won't be there anymore once you executed the mv command. Mv command is like a cut paste in Windows. So I'm going to do this /home/f2/f1/f2/f3. So there's a folder here. And to this folder I want to relocate the file. So what that means is this file, the original file, get moved into this path. And now if I look for the file inside /home, it won't be there. It's gone. And where it is? Now it is here. So you type the ls command against that particular folder. Yes, the file is here. So this is how, these are different commands I just wanted to demonstrate to you. Try these commands yourself today. And even though, when you listen to me, it would look very straightforward. But learning the Linux command line is more like learning a new programming language. It takes time to get yourself comfortable with it, right? If you are new to command line, it takes a bit of time. So and it deserves its time. So you should be comfortable. You should be using this Linux command line a lot throughout the training. So better to get some speed this week rather than going slow in the next weeks, right? So just try to make yourself a bit faster. As much as time you spend on Linux command line this week, it's actually absolutely worth it, right? And initially it would be a bit slow, but you will get used to it. All right, so that's the idea, and that's the basic commands we are discussing. And now I will give you some tips on how you will learn Linux commands. I'll give you some tips for you to self-study and some assignment today. So how to learn Linux commands. Now what is the best practices to learn Linux commands? Obviously the first choice is Google, and there are some other choices also which I will explain. So I'll be right back. Give me 1 minute. I hope we can continue. Do you need break? Can we continue? Okay, okay. I'll be right back in a minute. Just hold on for a minute. Okay, guys. So let's talk about how you learn Linux yourself, how you make yourself better in Linux command line, which is very important, right? Very important. So let's talk about that. So there are two things to learn Linux. There are two methods to learn Linux. One is obviously the Google search, right? You search in Google ls command in Linux, right, or something like that. Search in Google, and then you go to one or two documentation, whatever Google gives you, and try to read them, try to understand them. And it takes time initially. If you are new to Linux, right? If you are new to Linux, yes, it takes some time to. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Go to one or two documentations and read them. Try to understand what is ls command, and what are the different ways they are running the ls command. They are actually running ls command with some option ls space -1. So what is that? You just try to do it yourself. Just try to run the command ls space. Come on, I got disconnected. Login again and become root. Then type this command ls space -1. Let's see what it will do. Okay, it is showing me some folder. So let me also type ls space -1 space /home. So generally you type ls space /home. So what is -1? ls space /home, you already know what it will do. If I type ls space -1 space /home, it is actually giving me the same result but line by line. Okay, cool. That's what ls -1 means. You understood that. You again go back. What are the other options? There is something called ls space -l. What is that? It is printing the file in this format. So you can see the file name in the right side. You can see when the file was created, just before that, size of the inodes, then owner of the file, group of the file, some permission setting, some information. It is showing me the file along with some information about the file. So let me try it myself. I go to the command line, ls space -l /home. I generally type ls space /home, so -l is something new. So what it did, it printed me the commands in a list format with some information when the file was modified last time, inode size and permission settings, and different settings of this file. Great. So there are more options. So So ls command can be executed straightforward, or ls command may be executed with some options such as -1, -l, -a. There are various options available for the ls command, and if you want to get a complete list of options, you can actually use this man command. Man is a Linux command. Basically, when you use man space ls or man space touch or man space any Linux command, when you execute the man command, it would open the documentation of this particular command. Every Linux command has a manual page, a documentation page that would print the syntax of the command, what are the options, what is mean by -l, what is mean by -1. So a detailed documentation can be found inside the Linux manual page, or the same manual page you can get from Google also. That's also another possibility. So let me type man space ls here. So it tells me this is the ls command, and this is the description, this is the syntax, ls space option space file. So ls space /home, you are aware. So option would include, it could be -1, it could be -l, it could be -a. You can actually find different options. The complete list of options are available in the manual page, and you can read them, you can try to understand what they are and stuff like that. Then keep doing that. And then similarly, you want to learn touch command. You can and after you open the man page, you type q to come back, type q keyword to come back. And similarly, Google search is always, I think, slightly better and slightly easier and straightforward to learn Linux commands faster than man. Man is not that much fast. First of all, it's not a graphical command. Of course, it is Linux. Google is something you are already familiar with. And even ls command man page also you can get it. Ls command, you can search something like this in Google. You want to read the same man page from Google. Reading from browser is always better than reading from the command line, right? So you can do this, ls command man page, search in Google something like this. Then it will take you to this website, man7.org, that has every man pages. Just click there and you can see the man page. And again, you at least get to see some coloring, right, which is slightly better than reading using the man command from the command line. So yeah, the same man command output you see here, but with some coloring which is slightly better. And it will also contain some examples, and maybe some examples, but most probably no examples, but only options. To get the examples, you always search in Google for ls command. Simply search in Google, read some documentations to see the examples, 15 examples. Open any website and just try to run them on the Linux machine. So this is the approach that you need to take, and you learn some command. You found out there is something called -l. There is something called -l. Now you are curious, what is this -l? Yes, then you can search in Google man ls, right? Maybe it will be already there in the documentation itself, but I'm just saying man ls, search in Google, go to the ls man page, find out what is -l, and get that information, read that information from here. Use a long listing format, right? That's what it is. So this is the way how you will learn Linux commands. And I have an assignment for you, some 50 Linux commands. And yeah, I'll send this link to you in the chat. So do this as an assignment, or you can simply search in Google 50 most frequently used commands or something like that. Frequently used Linux commands, something like that, with example, whatever. Then go to the first link. The website is the Gate stuff. Even if it is another website also, the intention is not to by heart these commands. Intention is to make yourself comfortable with the command line. That is the most important part. Okay. All right. So So that's it. Let me send this link in the chat. And what I will also do is, I have a course that I have created. Everyone, you can sign up at this website. I would be sharing some courses. This is my website actually. There is some Linux basic course I would be sharing with you. Those who are new to Linux, take this course. There are 2 videos and the assignments is also written in here. So everyone, go to this website and create yourself an account, and I would be sharing this course with you. You can log in and you can see this course from your browser. The URL is basil.dorvad.tech. I would be sharing different course materials on this website. So everyone, create yourself an account, and then once you registered, I would be sharing the access with you. Until I share the access, you will see some empty page. So yeah. Okay, so that is it. That's it. We will stop the basics of Linux here, and now we will get into some advanced Linux topics, some web surveys, and some little bit advanced topics. So go ahead. Feel free to interrupt. Just go ahead, Sagar. Yep. Yeah, they are the file permissions actually. So every file in Linux has some permissions. So yeah, it's actually okay. In Linux, I'll just talk about that. Okay. So let's talk about file permissions. Okay. So let's talk about what are the different permissions that are available to different files in Linux. So currently I am logged in to the AWS machine, and I logged in as user base Ubuntu, and I'm going to log in as user root. And it is possible that if you want to create more users, you can create more users, just like you create a user in your Windows PC. You can go to control panel, create a number of users that you want to create, and everyone can log into your laptop. Similarly, in Linux also, you can create a bunch of users. I'm going to create a user with the name Basil, and preferably when I create the user, I would also set some command line for Basil, and I might also set some option that would create his home folder, right? Every user in Windows get a different desktop. Similarly, in Linux also, every user get a home folder, and this -m option will force that folder to be physically created. And by default, that home folder is /home/basil. I'm not putting here by default in Linux. This is where folder will be created for Basil. So what this command does is, it would create a new Linux user called Basil, and he would be using command line. Every user need to use some command line. This is the bash. Bash is the Linux shell that the user would be using by default. There are different type of shell in Linux. The user can choose whichever shell he want to use. Generally, this is whatever I am setting is the default shell. Every time Basil login to my Linux machine, he will be working on a different type of command line called a shell, bash shell. So in Linux, different type of command lines are available, and most of them look same. You would not notice any major differences between different command lines generally. So okay, whatever. So I created a user called Basil. I can create any number of users. I can create a user called Sagar. I can create a user called Pramod. So any number of user may be created. I can set a password for each of these users using the password command passwd space Basil. Then I can enter some password 2 times, and then the password is set for Basil. And similarly, I want to set the password for Sagar. I can use this command and set some password for Sagar. So this way, I can actually create users and set some password, and I can share this password with Basil, Sagar, and Pramod, and they can log in. They can use SSH, or they can use the SU command. SU command is used in Linux too. If you are already in the Linux machine, but currently I am root, now I want to log in as Basil, I can run the command su space minus Basil. Now I am logged in as Basil. And if you want to log out from Basil, it's a matter of a single command, logout. Now you logged out from Basil, and now you are back to root. Now if I log out from root again, I will go back to Ubuntu, and from Ubuntu now I want to log in as Basil. This time it is asking me for the password. Last time it didn't ask for the password, but this time it is asking for the password. That is the difference between Ubuntu and root. Root gets some special privileges, Ubuntu don't. So when I was working as Ubuntu, then I try to log in as Basil. Ubuntu user must enter the password of Basil if you want to log in as Basil. So I entered the password just now. Now I am logged in. Now I became Basil. I want to log out from Basil. I can log out from Basil. I want to log in as Sagar. I can log in as Sagar using the su command. Then yes, Sagar's enter password need to be entered. You want to switch. So su is a Linux command to switch to a different user. Logout is the command when you want to log out from a user. In Windows, these are time consuming process. Logging out is a time consuming process. Switch user is a time consuming process. So you will eventually find a lot of benefits, even though initially Linux would look kind of difficult to work on. There are a lot of certain advantages that you will find when you work with Linux. Think about how much time you take to switch user in Windows, or log out from a user takes time. This is very straightforward in Linux. And when you are Ubuntu, you want to become root, you cannot simply use su minus root. You should put sudo in the front. That is actually you cannot become root user. Ubuntu don't have permission to become the root user, but with sudo he can. So actually Ubuntu user gets some special privileges with sudo. So yes, but I'm not going to talk about it in detail. But yeah, sudo is a mechanism in Linux that gives special privileges to certain users. Ubuntu gets some special privilege if you put sudo in front of a command. Alright, so that's the idea. So now we understood that in Linux you can create different uses and stuff like that. So once you created the user, now it is time to decide which file, who will get what permission. That is the next thing. Okay, and now let me do one more thing. Let me create a group. Let me create a group in Linux, and to that group I will add some uses. That's also possible if I want to create a group called operation team, ops team, my ops team. This is a group that I am creating in Linux. I'm creating one more group called my developers. So I can actually create different groups in Linux, and then what I can do is I am adding myself. You can use this command, add user Basil, then ops team. So what this particular command does is it would add the user Basil to the group ops team, and I can add Sagar also to the same group. Add user Sagar to ops team. So Linux allows me to create uses usage in Linux is very similar to usage in Windows. Those are the people who work on an operating system, on the Linux operating system, just like Windows. And then you can also create a group to manage the user efficiently. I mean, groups is just to manage things easily. So let's say I want to give some permission to Basil, and same permission I want to give to Sagar. So I might want to, giving permission, a lot of complicated job. I have file permission, I want to give folder permissions, different permission settings I want to give to Basil and Sagar. And Basil and Sagar, they both work in the ops team, and they both need the same level of permission. So when I give permission to Basil or Sagar, I will not give them to individually. I would give whatever permission they need, I would give to this group. So Linux allows you to attach permissions to the groups rather than attaching permission to the user directly. Yes, you can attach permission to user directly, that is possible, but a better option is create a group, put all the users into that group, give permission to that group. So whatever permission you give to the group, every user will inherit them, right? So that makes things easier for you, right? So when in your company you have different people, and you have many people want access to one Linux machine, and then what you will do is you should not be sharing your username and password with them. You should be creating a user and password for them, and then you should be assigning the permission what they need. I didn't talk about permission yet, but every person, a developer, don't need root permission, but the operation team might need root permission. So it depends on the person who is working on your machine. So let's say you one developer want to log into your Linux machine. So you create a user using the user command, and you will create a password for them. You would share the username and password with them. But when you give them the permission, you will give whatever permission they need. You won't give them root access, you won't give them sudo access, you won't give them unnecessary permission that they don't use. So and managing permission is complicated, which I didn't talk about what are permissions yet. But when you want to manage different permission, you have to manage permission to files, permission to Linux process, permission to various stuffs in Linux. So instead of managing the permission on a per user basis, it's better and slightly better and much more convenient to create groups and give permission to groups, and whichever user need permission, you can create a group called developers, you can create a group called ops team, and then developers get less permission. Whatever permission you assign, you less permission you assign to developer, more permission you assign to ops team. And whenever a person join your team, he is a developer, you create a username and password for him using the user command, and then you share the username and password with him, and you will also add him to the developers group. Assume there is a user called Pramod, and assume he is a developer, and I want to add him to the developers group. So Pramod will inherit all the permission that developer group have. Basil and Sagar will inherit all the permissions that ops teams will have. And later, that's what I'm going to talk about next. What is permissions? We'll be talking only about file permission actually. We'll be talking only about file permissions today, and after that we will get into our advanced topics. Yeah, so let's talk about file permissions next. So what we just discussed is Linux usage and group, and then we talk about file permission, and from here we will stop with the Linux basic topics, and then we will wind up for today, and tomorrow we will start with some software, web applications and databases. Okay, so let's talk about file permissions. So assume there is a file there's a file in your machine called test.txt. There's a file test.txt inside your Linux machine, located somewhere in the file system, right? And different people might want to get access to this file. Some people might want to read this file, some people might want to write this file, and some people might want to execute this file. Sometimes it could be a assume this is a program, this is a Python program, and somebody want to execute this program. So Linux allows you, three types of permission on files. The three of them are read, write, and execute. These are the three different permission you can have on a file that you have in Linux: read, write, and execute. Read come with a weight of 4. Just to explain something, I want to give some number, assign some number to each of these permissions. Write is 2 and execute is 1. So when somebody says 0, then it means no read, no write, no execute. If I say 1, it means only execute. If I say 2, it means only write. If I say 3, it means 2 plus 1, it means write and execute. So when I say 4, actually, yeah, read permission should be there for writing. Yeah, if I say 4, then mean only read permission. If I say 5, it means 4 plus 1, read plus execute indicate 5. Read plus write indicate 6. Read plus write plus execute indicate 7. So this way, by specifying a number, you can decide the permission of a file that you might want to assign to a user. So you might want to give Basil permission of 7, and you might want to give opsteam, then their opsteam you want to give a permission of only 5. Only Basil can write. 7 means read plus write plus execute. That permission I want to give to Basil. But at the same time, the entire opsteam other than Basil, they get only permission 5. What is 5? Read plus execute is 5. 4 plus 1, 5. Read plus execute is 5. So then what I also want to do is, everyone else, just give them only the read permission. People who are not Basil, people who are not a member of this group, what permission they will get on this file. So let's give read permission to everyone, or maybe don't give any permission to them. Only Basil and opsteam will have permissions. Basil will have 7, opsteam will have 5. Others, I don't want to give any permission. So in that case, you can say the permission of this file will be 750, and every file will have a user which we call the owner, and every file will have a group, and then there will be other uses, right? Then there will be other uses. So these are, with respect to your Linux machine, these are the different people who might want different type of permissions onto this file. So there is owner. So assume you can change the owner. It's up to you to decide who will be the owner. So I can make Basil as the owner of this file. Then I can make opsteam the group of this file. I can others. Yeah. So then I can do this. I can give a permission of 750 to this file, which means the first number indicate permission of the owner. Every file has an owner. Second number indicate permission of the group. So assume the group is opsteam, and then the last number indicate permission of everyone else. So if I assign a number 750 permission to this file, that's what it means. Owner get all the permission. 4 plus 2 plus 1, read, write, and execute will be given to the owner. The number 7 belongs to the owner. Number 5, the second number indicate permissions of the group. So in here, the permission of the group is 5, and then for everyone else, this is what I want to give. I want to give them 0 permission. So 750, this is what it indicates. So then there are different commands in Linux that allows you to set these permission. Chon, using a command called chon, you can specify, assume this is the file /home/test.txt. I want Basil to be the owner of this file. There's a Linux command called chon. So that will make Basil the owner of the file. I want to set the group for the file. There's a command called chgrp opsteam, then /home/test.txt. So what this command will do, this command will make opsteam the group of this file. That's what chgrp command will do. Then I would use this command chmod 750, then the file name, to set the correct permission for the file. So 750 indicate 7 for the owner, Basil in this case, 5 second number indicate 5 for the group opsteam here, and 0 indicate everyone else what permission they will get. So with using these 3 commands, I will achieve this. Basil get, read, write and execute. Opsteam will get read, no write but execute. Others get nothing, minus nothing, 0. So and 750, when you do it, it will look like this: read, write, execute, space. Actually there is no space, I am putting space. Read minus execute, then minus. So this is the permission of the Basil, permission of opsteam, permission of everyone else, that is 0. It's blanked out. Alright, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to execute these commands, and before I execute any of these commands, let me check what is the current state. What is, let me create a file with the name python.py, test.txt, whatever, or assume this is a Python program, test.py. So assume I'm creating a file, and assume this is a Python program that I am creating a file. A Python program is an executable file, that's why I'm saying Python program. It could be test.txt also, right? Just don't worry about that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to, give me a second guys. So before I run any one of these commands, first let me run the command ls-l. First of all, let me create this file, of course. First let me create the file, and first of all I'm creating a file /home test.py using the touch command. And just assume this is a Python program. I'm just writing some Python script in here. Don't worry about this, what I am doing. Okay, there is no Python. Okay, yeah. I'm just trying to write a very simple Python program. Inside /home test.py, I'm just writing a simple Python program. Print okay, I'm just writing some simple Python program, and let me check the command. Check this file using the ls command. The ls command, what ls command will do, or you can type ls space /home to see all the files. ls space minus l slash home would actually print you the file in a list format. You can see test.txt file, and the third column indicate who is the owner, and it is root. Root is the owner, and group is also root. And let me now start running the chown command. Let me make Basil as the owner. Chown Basil slash home slash test.py. For this particular file test.py, I am making owner to be Basil instead of root. Now let's see. Now let me type the ls space minus l command once again inside slash home and check the file test.txt. The owner has become Basil. Now the next thing, I'm going to change the group. Right now it is root. I'm going to change it to the fourth column indicate group. Right now it is root. I'm going to change it to opsteam. chgrp opsteam followed by the file name. It's slash home slash test.py. Yeah, so I changed the group also. Now let me type the ls space minus l slash home command. This time it will be opsteam instead of root. So the owner is Basil, opsteam is the group, and this is the current permission. Forget about the first letter. Start from the second. rw minus indicate the permission of the owner. Next three r dash dash indicate the permission of the group. The last three r dash dash indicate the permission of everyone else. So convert them into number. Read, write, no execute. What is the number? 4 plus 2. Read 4, write 2. 4 plus 2, 6. Right? And then this one only read. What is the number? Only read. Just 4. And then this is also only read. Just 4. The current permission of the file is 644. I want to change it to 750. What is my intention? My intention is Basil get permission of 7, 4 plus 2 plus 1, read plus write plus execute. So this one I want it to be rwx for Basil. Then the next three talk about the group. I want this to be 5, read and execute. I want everyone from the ops team to be able to execute the script, but they cannot write to the script. Only Basil can write to it. So this permission, currently it is 4. I want to change it to 5, read and execute. And then the last permission, I want to make it 0. I don't want to give permission to anybody else. No read, no write, no execute, so it means 0. The command is chmod 750, then the file name. So now the permission has changed. Type the command ls minus l once again. This time you can see rwx for Basil, r minus x for opsteam, that would include Sagar. Then everyone else, no permission. So let me log in as Basil and let me try to run this script. So let me switch myself to Basil. And now you can just execute the script like this by specifying the complete path to the script. So I am logged in as Basil and I am able to execute this script. It is giving me hello world. Its script is working. And am I able to read this file? Let me try to open this file in a nano editor. Yes, I am able to see the content. And let me try to put some new lines in here, and let me try to write something, and let me try to save this file after putting some new line. And yes, I am able to do it because I am Basil. Right now I am logged in as Basil and I am able to see the content of the file, write the file and execute the file. I got all the permission. But now let me log in as Sagar. I will log out from Basil. I will log in as Sagar. Now I am logged in as Sagar, and Sagar is a member of the ops team. So he will have certain permissions. So he tried to read the file, open the file /home/test.py. He should be able to see the content of the file. Yeah, he can see the content. So he is also trying to edit this file, but I got this message, it's unwritable. Sagar cannot write this file. Sagar has permission. Sagar has read permission. Sagar has executable permission. Sagar do not have write permission. He try to press Ctrl O, he will get an error. He will say, I'm just trying to save this file, and I am currently working as Sagar. Sagar is trying to save this file. Just press enter. I'll get an error. Permission denied. No, you don't have permission to edit this file. So I get out, right? So Sagar cannot do that. But Sagar can execute this file. You had already given executable permission to the entire ops team. Sagar is part of it. So executable file 5, read and execute, is already there to the entire ops team where Sagar is part of. So he can execute it. He cannot read it, he can execute it, he cannot write it. So that is the thing. So this way you can assign permissions, who will have access to what, and that's what file permissions are all about, and this is important. All right. Yep, yep. And anyone, any questions? Okay, cool. So Bharat, all good, right? Everyone who, anyone has any suggestion? Mhm. Actually, add user command is actually add user command is sufficient to create